everyone. So I wanted to jump on here and put together a quick little video. I've been receiving some questions, and instead of just answering each one individually, I thought I would just do one video to kind of answer all of those. So that's what I'm going to do, and try to answer them the best I can. So everything that I discuss is based on my experience as being an expediter and working with FedEx Custom Critical. I've never driven for any other trucking company, so I can't really speak for them or how they do things. I can only go on, my experience. So I'll try to answer these the best I can, okay? First question I received was, how much can you expect to make as being an expediter? So this question varies greatly. I'll try to answer this the best I can. So I started driving as a driver about 7 years ago. And when I first started with FedEx Custom Critical, the pay was a lot better than what it is now. Back then, it seemed like freight was more plentiful. It seemed like the rates were a lot higher. Things have changed over the years. Right now, a lot of people are blaming it on an election year and different things like that. The reason why freight has slowed down and the pay is lower. But, when I first started driving about 7 years ago, it was not uncommon to make $60,000-$70,000 a year. Now, compare that to today, we're making nowhere near that. But there's many variables that go into this. You've got to realize it depends on, one, what company you're working for. If you're on a flat rate, if you are driving an 18-wheeler versus a straight truck versus a cargo van, there's many variables that go into it. How long you stay out, what your pay schedule is, if you own the truck or if you're just a driver. If you're just a driver, how the owner pays you. If you're paying for fuel and receiving 60%, if you're not paying fuel and only getting 40%, there's many different variables. So I really can't give you a definite answer on how much you should make. I would suggest that you should be able to make anywhere between $25,000 and $40,000, depending on how you run things, how long you stay out, what type of vehicle you're in, and how you get paid. You should be able to make somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000 US dollars per year. If you own the truck, again, that has greatly varied. When I started almost 7 years ago and I was driving, the owner that I drove for then, we were in trucks that were grossing $250,000 to $270,000 per year gross. And now, these owners are not making near that much. Like I said, freight has dropped off considerably. They're not paying like they used to pay. I remember back in the day, every single run was over $2 a mile. It was not uncommon to do a temperature validated run, and that is a premium service that FedEx Custom Critical offers to these customers. And back in the day, these runs used to pay $2.25, $2.50 a mile. Now you're lucky to get $1.40, $1.50 a mile. I mean, everything has changed greatly compared to when I first started. So I can't give you a definite answer, but I would say somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000 as a driver, depending on how long you stay out, how you're paid, and what the type of money that you run for. Next question. What is the cost of the truck? So I don't own the truck. I've never owned the truck. I've thought about buying a truck, but like I said previously, with the way freight is going and the rates, I don't feel comfortable doing that right now. But these trucks, depending on how you spec them out, they range in price. So the trucks that we drive, if you get a straight truck that has a 22-foot box on it, we're in a Cascadia. It's a Class 8 tractor. So this particular truck that we're in right now, it does not have a tag axle. So being a single axle truck, I believe the owner paid right around $235,000. If you add a tag axle onto that, it's roughly another $15,000, $20,000. So again, it depends on what type of vehicle you're in, and it depends on who you're running for. There's trucks that cost less, of course. You don't have to get them completely spec'd out and with custom sleepers and all that, so they're going to cost a lot less. But this one does have a lot of the options, so it was on the higher end of things. Let's see here. Next question. Do you ever associate with other FedEx drivers that you see on the road? And part two of that question, are counters with UPS awkward? So, yes, we do associate with other drivers on the road. You know, when you're out here on the road day in and day out for months at a time, because usually we're out 2, 3, 4 months, even though I have someone with me, even though my partner is with me, and we're out here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week together, you do and see everything together. So it's hard because it's not like a regular job where you go off to work and you have a whole day and then you come home and you tell your significant other about everything that happened to you that day. Out here, you're experiencing everything together every day. There's really nothing to talk about. You pull for things to talk about sometimes. It's not uncommon to be sitting right next to each other and ride for 3-4 hours and not even say a word to each other because you're experiencing the same thing every day. So when you do run into other drivers, yes, it is nice to be able to speak with other people and to have conversations with other people about the company or about trucking in general, or just anything else going on, you know. And that's another part of the reason why I started doing these YouTube videos. I have thought about doing YouTube videos for a very long time. I went back and forth with the idea for probably a year before I started doing it. And but it's just another outlet to communicate with people and to talk with people through the comments and different things, and show people what we do. But yes, we definitely do like enjoy talking with other drivers out here and their experiences and what they're going through, and all of that good stuff. Encounters with UPS awkward? No. You know, UPS is out here doing the same thing that we do every day, day in and day out. They don't have a special division like FedEx Custom Critical, but you know, hey, they're drivers just like everybody else, so no, it's not awkward. Why don't we ever get to see the outside of your truck? I have showed the outside of the truck. I don't show it a lot just because I'm not really sure if the owner is okay with his truck being plastered all over the internet. I have showed it a couple of times, and I'll probably, maybe I'll talk to him and see if he's okay with that or something in the future, but I'll try to see if I can get some more of that. How much are truck washes? So truck washes vary from area to area. The place that we always go to is Blue Beacon. The owners that we drive for have an account there, so all we have to do is go in, tell them to charge it to the account, and it's taken care of. Now it depends on where you're at, how much it costs, but usually they range, for this truck being a single axle truck, they can range anywhere from $30 to $55 per wash. And again, that greatly varies on where you're at. If you're out west, like in California, it's going to be on the higher end. If you're in Missouri, it's going to be on the lower end. So, and we try to do truck washes at least once a week, sometimes twice a week if we're in snow or something like that during the wintertime. FedEx is very particular on keeping the trucks clean, as well as the owner that we drive for. I mean, you know, they have a nice truck. They want to make sure that they show it off. So, but yeah, FedEx wants to make sure that your equipment is kept up and your equipment is clean, your truck is clean, because we do go to some high-end vendors, like when we do an art load or something of that nature, and they want to see a nice truck. We do a lot of pharmaceutical loads with temperature validated, so again, they want to see things are nice and pretty. You know, they're putting millions of dollars in the back of your truck. It's not uncommon to have, you know, millions of dollars on one pallet. So when you open up the back of the truck, they want to see a nice, clean, tidy area, swept, the floor's mopped, everything's clean, put away the way it's supposed to be, or they won't load you. It's not uncommon to be turned away if you've got a nice, nasty truck. So we do try to keep everything clean. Is it true that cops will be more lenient with a driver that has a clean truck opposed to a dirty one? I don't want to say cops in general, but I will say that I believe having a nicer, cleaner truck will help at weigh stations. I've been stopped for a level 2 inspection. Level 2 is just where they basically go over the driver, your driver's license, your medical card, so forth. I haven't had that done in probably 4 months. But as for a level 1 inspection where they go over the driver as well as everything on the truck, your brakes, your lights, and everything else, I have not had a level 1 inspection in years. So I do believe that having a clean, well-kept truck does help attribute to that. I also think that it helps working for FedEx. FedEx has a fairly high CSA score at this point. And when you roll through these weigh stations, a lot of the times they'll see FedEx and you just get rolled right on through. It's not uncommon, like when you go to California, you have the weigh station, you have the agriculture center back to back that you have to go through. And a lot of the times when you get to the agriculture part, they see FedEx on the side of the truck and they just wave you right on through and never even stop and ask you what you're hauling. So I think that plays a part in it as well. Your truck kept up well, and having it clean does help get through those inspections. How many miles can you go on a tank of fuel? So this particular truck that we're driving now has 2 80-gallon tanks. Now, we are a little special in that category because we only have a single axle truck and this truck is so heavy on the front end, we only fill our fuel tanks up to a half a tank. Because if we put any more than that, it could throw us overweight. You know, we don't know what we're going to be picking up next. So a lot of the times we'll keep the fuel low until we are dispatched and we know how much fuel we can put in. If we're only picking up a 100-pound box or something in the back, then yeah, we can go ahead and put more fuel in the tanks because we have that more room to play with on the weight. If we're picking up a 2,500 pound load, which 3,000 pounds is our max, then we can only do a half a tank because we've got so much weight in the back. So with us on a half a tank, you know, we can easily do 500 miles, 400 or 500 miles. We're getting past the quarter of a tank mark, usually about an eighth of a tank, and then we stop and fill up from there. If we have full tanks, you can go closer to the 800 miles, 900 miles on the full tank. So in this truck, we're averaging probably 7 miles to the gallon. On a lighter load, we can probably average 8, maybe 9 miles to the gallon on this truck. In the older truck that we had, it was a 2009 model, but it had a tag axle on it. Now in that truck, we averaged about 6 to 7 miles per gallon. But of course, if we hauled heavier loads, it was less than that. And it depends on where we went, up hills and so forth. How much does it cost to fuel? We do not pay for fuel. The owner does. However, if we're filling up to a half a tank, a couple $100. Right now, if we're filling it up all the way, you know, 300 to 400. Just depends on where we're at and how much the fuel is. Right now, with fuel being cheaper, that does help greatly. I remember a few years ago when the price of fuel was over $4 per gallon, and actually back then, the owner I drove for, I paid for fuel, and it was not uncommon to have $500 fuel tanks. So anywhere, we only go usually to a half a tank, so a couple $100 to get us to a half a tank. And let's see, last question, do you use the app WAS to be warned of cops, construction, delays, etc. on your route? I've never heard of that app, something I may check out. But we do use a couple apps. We do like using Trucker Path. It kind of gives us an idea of how full truck stops are, because a lot of users will get on there and report how full the parking lot is at different times of the day. We do like using it just to see if upcoming weigh stations are open or closed. It's not completely accurate, but it does give us an idea. So yeah, that's definitely one app that we like using. Another couple apps that we do like is, of course, the Pilot Flying J, the Loves or TA Petro. We mainly stop at TA Petro because that's where we do all of our fueling. We get a discount on fuel through TA and Petro through FedEx, so the owner prefers us to go there and fuel. You can go in their app to book your showers, to see how many showers is available at a certain location. Some of their apps even tell you how full the lot is at some locations, so we do like using those as well. Pilot Flying J has actually bumped up their app and brought along some of the other great features as well, like booking your shower through the app and so forth. So we do like using that as well whenever we are at those locations. It's not often, but we do like that. So pretty much that's about it. That's all the questions that I've had so far. Thank you so much for the questions. I hope I've answered your questions as best I can. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment. Leave a comment down below, send a message on Facebook, email me, whatever way is easier for you. And thanks so much for watching and subscribing. We really do appreciate it. And as always, keep those wheels a turning, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.